Episode 2 of Adventure Guys.
Are you playing the theme song?
Adventure Guys! Adventure Guys! Now it's time for Adventure Guys!
Welcome to Adventure Guys, the podcast for humans and dogs.
Hey, I'm Nick Harvey.
I'm Eric, the human.
Daino is your surname?
I'm Eric Daino, the human.
Yes.
We're using last names today.
Keeping it formal.
Yeah.
Right before we started, I think Eric and I were like, I think this episode, already episode 2, is going to have a distinctly different vibe than episode 1.
Episode 1,
Yeah.
there was a lot of build-up to it. I think maybe you were a little too prepared.
I was too prepared. I had so many notes and so many thoughts. So this one, I'm coming at it a bit more casually. I got a beer in hand.
Okay.
I got a Shiner Bock.
Oh, from Texas? You
Great.
bring it with you?
Great Texas beer, yeah. But also, so I had a lot of notes in the first episode, which was It Came from the Nightosphere. And I watched this episode that we're going to cover today twice, and it occurred to me that there might be two different types of Adventure Time episodes. There's the ones where it's like clearly kind of a heavy one that's got something to say, and it's like, you know what I mean? And then there's other ones where they're kind of more fun, and they might not really be trying to say much of anything.
Yes. This was definitely the latter.
Yeah. I know. We'll get into it, but I took a bunch of notes and I was like thinking about what different things in the episode might have meant. Because if you listen to the first episode, I went off on multiple long-winded tangents about the symbolism in that last episode, and I found so much to dissect and just chew on for all your listening pleasures. Although that would be gross. No one wants to hear anyone chew, but
Chewing on mic.
Chewing on mic, yeah.
One of the worst things imaginable. No, yeah, this episode was I watched it mere hours ago. It was the highlight of my day, the highlight of my last week and a half.
Yeah. I mean, the vibe is also going to change because we've both had longer weeks. Eric, your week has been
Very
so long.
My life is terrible. Okay, so I told you I didn't have internet for a week. Did I tell you that my reference monitor that I use for mixing like shorted out in the tropical storm?
No.
Dude, this was a nightmare. I've been dealing with all of my equipment just failing on me in succession. My laptop finally died a couple weeks ago. It lasted 10.5 years, but it got that
good run.
That battery bloat, you know, like when the lithium battery just starts expanding full of gas and it could explode.
I did not know about that.
That's the thing that laptops do. Usually they're finished with their period of use before it gets to that point, but I was hanging on to it.
10 years is good. I had a MacBook Pro for 8 and I just got a new one. But what's interesting about because it's like been proven now, right, that the iPhones they've been like fucking with, so they die and you have to buy a new one after a couple years, right? Like that's pretty much been proven. But the MacBooks, like they kind of build to last.
Yeah, well, I was also running Snow Leopard for 9.5 of those 10 years.
You didn't want to upgrade, or was it the software you were going to lose?
Yeah, I'm very apprehensive about updating the operating systems because there's always like some third-party thing that doesn't work, and then something else just starts getting buggy or whatever. And I think when you update OSs on older pieces of hardware, things start running slower, breaking. So I just never update anything. I never update my iPhone either. I have an iPhone 6S that's 4.5 years old.
You know, it's funny you say this. People might think you're crazy, but actually right before I left Texas, we'll get into my week in a little bit, but my roommate down there had like a 6-7-year-old MacBook that he upgraded to Catalina, and it died immediately after he upgraded the operating system. So you're like,
they're
logic
not
is
supposed to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, my so I got to the point where I couldn't download apps on my iPhone anymore because they weren't supported on such an old iOS. And I needed to download the HBO Max app because that's what I'm using to watch Adventure Time.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't download to my phone. So I'm like, okay, I gotta update my phone finally. Of course, the update is so huge, and when you don't update your phone, it starts like fucking with the memory storage, where it's like it becomes disorganized. So it starts taking up more storage than it really should be. So when you update things, it cleans it up. When you connect it to a computer, a Mac or whatever, it sort of reorganizes your storage. So I didn't have enough storage to download the update. So I have to connect to a computer to get the update. Now, all of my computers are also not updated because I'm using all these crazy third-party recording, studio apps and stuff, and I don't want to mess with them. So then I have to update my Mac, to update iTunes, to update my iPhone, and it was just threw all of my systems into total chaos. Nothing was working, and my life was falling apart piece by piece. I was just like finding workarounds to deal with everything, and we get this tropical storm, and everything fucks over 10 times more.
Oh no!
So
this all started with you trying to get HBO Max to watch Adventure Time for this podcast.
Yes.
Oh, you were blood, sweat, and tears for this thing. Well, one of my big takeaways is that you're watching Adventure Time on your phone.
Well, I have the ability to do that.
Okay.
I don't always do that, but there's other stuff on HBO Max. Like I watched pretty much all of Craig of the Creek on my phone.
Nice.
On that app.
But why not just there's a TV in that house, right? Couldn't you just get HBO Max going on there?
Well, yeah, but I usually watch TV a lot before I fall asleep.
Got it. Okay. I was just curious about your viewing habits. That's a hard week, dude. I'm sorry. But did you lose power too?
We lost power briefly. My sister lost power for 6 days at her house. She's a couple towns over. And so she was coming over to use electric stuff, but we don't have internet here until this morning. And my mom's car had a tree fall on it, and the windshield was smashed. And I had to drive her car to the body shop with plastic covering everything. I couldn't see it.
A long week.
And my $700, one of my $700 studio monitors, fried.
The whole is it the set? Is it a set of them?
Well, one of them is fine, and the other one shorted out. I guess I don't know exactly what happened. It didn't blow a fuse. I think the capacitor needs to be replaced. I took it to a repair shop, a little mom and pop electronics repair shop nearby, and they've had it for a few days. It's going to be a few days more, but they said they can fix it. It's just going to cost money to do it. But I can't mix anything in the meantime, which is crippling for me.
You have so much music that you're just pumping out at all times. What do you have? Do you have HS8s? Like Yamaha? What do you use for monitors?
I do have HS5s that I use as a check, consumer level monitor, but my main monitors are Presonus Scepters. They're 8-inch, and they have a coaxial design where the tweeter is in the woofer.
Oh, interesting. I've never.
So it's there's always a little bit of a phase difference in having two different speaker sources, your tweeter and your woofer are not aligned, but they put the tweeter in the middle of the woofer, so it theoretically eliminates that. And they're great monitors. More importantly, though, is I've been mixing on them for 5.5 years. I know exactly how they sound, and I have something like 38 projects currently in progress, using those monitors. So I have to finish them on those monitors.
Yeah. Oh God. Well, I hope that mom and pop store knows what they're doing. Did you feel good when you're dropping it off?
I don't know. I was having a really bad day.
Yeah. Well, I'm pulling through. I'm pulling for you, pulling for those monitors.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh God, dude. Well, my week was not really that bad, honestly.
You're in New York now.
Yeah, I'm in New York. Yeah, I've been in Austin, Texas for the past 5 months. So in the past week, it was a long week. It wasn't a bad week. It was just like a long week where I decided that I'm going to come back to New York, be here for 3 weeks, pack up everything I own, and throw away a lot of the things that I own, like the shitty IKEA sofa and kitchen island, and like I have the IKEA box kind of deal, you know what I mean, where it's like
Oh yeah,
8 boxes that everyone has and has records in. Gonna get rid of that, and rent a minivan and drive on down to Austin. I'm gonna pick up my brother and do it. So that'll be cool. It's weird to be back. Like I've been gone for 5 months, and when I was in Austin thinking about New York City, it felt like a lifetime ago. Like it felt like a different person. And then I got off the airplane into an Uber, and I got off by my apartment, and it was like I never left. I was just like, oh yeah, I know how to be here. I can walk down the street. And it was one of those just awesome New York, like summer Sunday nights where it's just like, it's like 6 p.m. and the sun is setting, and it's just like that golden all over the brick everywhere. And everything looks so awesomely shitty. Like,
yeah.
It was good to be back, although definitely weird. I also had I had a bunch of job stuff to navigate. I confirmed a new job at work, which was pretty interesting.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. Just a bunch of a lot of stuff for you. Just at the end of the day, you're like, I'm tired.
Dude, I miss the city so much. I've been in New York for 2.5 months now, but I'm stuck in Nassau County, which is such a drag. And honestly, like I know New York is actually handling things a lot better than Texas and a lot of other places around the country right now, but I am kind of still pretty scared to like go into a huge population center like Brooklyn or Manhattan.
Yeah, people are that I've in the last 24 hours I've been back I've seen behaving well, but then there's just so many people that even, you know, the 5% who's not is visible, and people just have to be out doing stuff.
I am like legit scared about this coronavirus. Like, I mean, I don't think I'm going to die from it, but I am living with high risk people in my family right now. And the thing is, you know, even if it doesn't kill me, you could have reduced respiratory function afterwards. Like, I'm a singer. I played trombone, right? Like I can't operate the rest of my career on 75% lung capacity.
No. I was like, oh yeah, you just can't run anymore. I love running. I love singing songs too, man. Like, what am I to just like have that part is gone is just awful. Yeah, I don't want to get it either. I got to be more. I mean, I'm being careful, but like in New York City, it's like a lot of diligence. You know, I wear my mask everywhere I go. Like all of our listeners are. I'm assuming. You think Jake and Finn would wear masks, or would they? I feel like Jake would wear a mask. He would get it right away. Finn might be a little immature about it.
Yeah, they're pretty headstrong.
Yeah, they are. Especially as we see it in this episode.
Finn's wearing that hat all the time, though. He could easily pull it up over his face.
Yeah, and they do want good for the world and their community. Like I feel like when push comes to shove, they step up. I bet
they would initially not take it seriously, and then Jake would get it because he was being a dumbass, but because he's a magic like stretchy dog, he would make a full recovery like really quickly. And then Princess Bubblegum would be like, Finn, you're an idiot, you better wear a mask, and then he would do it.
Yeah. I think that's a good segue into just talking about this episode. Should we do it?
Sure, let's do it.
Episode discussion.
All right, Jake Suit.
Jake Suit, season 5. We jumped right up there.
Yeah, we're in the thick of it. I think like these middle seasons are prime Adventure Time.
Yeah, you know, you can even like I think this episode showed that I don't know that much about Adventure Time because there's just like a lot happening with just like an assumed knowledge. Like BMO is there hanging out now, like he's like buds, and Princess Rainicorn's kids and all that stuff that's being talked about.
Dude, oh man, Lady Rainicorn and Jake's kids freak me out.
Yeah.
Like, they're so uncomfortable.
Oh, well,
they're drawn weird.
They are. You see that the voice of the one, was it TV? I think is that one's name.
Yeah.
And is it Dan Mintz? The
from Bob's Burgers.
From Bob's Burgers, comedian.
Yeah.
I enjoyed hearing him, but it did also, seeing the kids too brought up something that like you just tend to forget when you're watching the episode, especially this episode when they're kind of being really childish, is that Jake's like in his 30s by this point, right?
Dude, the whole Jake being a dad thread just blows my mind. I because it happened fairly early. Like, I forget what season it was when Lady Rainicorn got pregnant, but I was just like, what?
Yeah.
How are they? It doesn't.
And he's living with Finn, right? Like,
yeah. Well, I forget how old he is in dog years.
Dog years, yeah. Well, I thought in the first episode, at the end of the episode, doesn't go, and I'm 28. Doesn't he like?
Yeah, it's something like that.
And maybe he's in dog years. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Something like that. But it always was fun. I mean, that was one of the biggest laughs in that first episode. But it is kind of like a really interesting move to do and set up that he's going to be older. And then he's going to have kids and responsibility. I don't know what to do with that.
It was too much for me to handle. But they get out of it really quickly.
Yeah. Because if
they're like, Rainicorn babies age quickly. So like he's a dad for like a few days and then they all grow up.
Right.
And he's like, oh, I guess I'm done here.
And that's why before he's like, I thought all the kids moved out and got their own places. Yeah, that's a pretty good way to get out of it. Because if he really was like a dad and he's just being that inattentive, like, it wouldn't be fun anymore.
I was like, this is a really difficult development for this character at this moment in this series to just give him children to take care of.
I know.
It's a huge dynamic shift.
Yeah, so I mean, it's an interesting episode because the primary so we find Finn wearing the Jake suit. He said he hasn't worn it for a while, and they're hanging out with BMO, and he's just abusing the Jake suit because it's indestructible. And he goes too far. Jake gets hurt, and then Jake's like, dude, like, it hurts when you do that. Like, can you please stop? And Finn's like, nah, man, it's fine. It doesn't hurt. Right? And then Jake goes on a quest to like get him back and inflict pain on him. And my symbolic brain was like, he's wearing his friend as a suit. Is this about like taking advantage of your friends? Like, I was looking for some higher thing. And I honestly couldn't really find it. He was taking advantage of Jake. That much is clear. And it was definitely one of the episodes where Finn is being like just a kid, just a total self-centered kid.
Finn is a jerk in this episode.
He's a real jerk. Yeah.
Yeah. He never really admits that he was wrong. Like, oh, sorry for putting you through all that. He's just like hell bent on winning this game. And then he wins and he's just like, yeah, I win. Like, what a jerk.
And then Jake apologizes and like,
yeah,
there's
Jake was not in the wrong.
No. And that was really weird to me because I was like, is this about like, because he's the dog and Finn's the human, so there's like a power dynamic there that he has to be under him. But I was like, but that's not how friends treat each other. Like, I was like, there's not a message in this one. Whereas
very difficult to extrapolate any morality from this.
Yes, there was definite morality in the last one. This one, I'm just like, no, I can't pick it up. One thing that I thought was interesting was that Finn was inflicting physical pain on Jake, and then Jake couldn't, which I don't know why he couldn't, but whatever. He couldn't inflict physical pain on Finn, so he tries to inflict like emotional pain.
Psychological warfare.
Psychological
Dude,
warfare, yeah.
It was also super creepy how Jake wears Finn. How he goes inside and extends himself like through his muscles and blood vessels. Have you seen?
You know what it looked a little bit like was the thing inside of Marceline's dad, and it came from the Nightosphere.
Oh God.
Doesn't it? Like where that like inside Marceline's dad, there's that like the like jellyfish egg thing in the back of his
guess.
throat.
Is this a secret theme of this show? Are there like smaller beings located within the main being that you can see through the mouth? Is that
maybe? Sorry, I cut you off.
Allegory we're going to discover.
What were we going to say about when?
Have you watched Avatar: The Last Airbender?
No.
My
brother just watched the entire thing, and I was just like, watching Avatar, cool, man. And I just walked into the other room.
I watched it for the first time also recently because it just went on Netflix. And you get the premise, like people control the elements, right?
Uh-huh.
So there's this girl who does water. She controls water. And the whole time I'm thinking, like, wow, she's getting really strong at controlling water. Humans are like 70% water. This is like, like my brain was immediately just like, is she going to do the thing that Magneto does in X-Men 2, where she can just like take water out of someone's body and like dehydrate them to death or what? Like that was my thought. And then there's one episode where I was like, surely that's not going to happen. But there is one episode where she gets so powerful at using water bending magic that she controls the water in someone's blood. And they call it blood bending. And then she like, it's like the Harry Potter Imperious curse, where she can control their body. And that's what I'm thinking of for Jake wearing Finn.
Yeah.
It's like this long line of fiction evil like body controlling magic, and it really creeped me out because Finn wearing Jake was literal.
Yeah.
But then Jake crawls inside Finn, and I got super creeped out.
And don't they show kind of like him taking the place of his skeleton, sort of?
Yes.
Like
yes.
his bones are gone or something.
Oh. Yeah.
I like that
I dwelled on it far too long. It
I like that like
you
like really pictured what it would be like if that happened to you. I just took it for cartoon magic. That's really funny.
This episode was way less carefree and light than I thought it was going to be. I was like, let's pick a regular old Jake and Finn horsing around kind of episode. Yeah. And
well, you know what I think it kind of gets at, which is interesting, is it's like almost like an episode for the long play. Like it doesn't have a long bearing on like the storyline of the show per se, but it informs their friendship and the dynamic a bit more. You know what I mean? Because like that dynamic of Finn being a jerk and kind of selfish sometimes, and Jake keeping him in line and being a bit more grounded is there, and it is kind of illustrative of like how friendships work, where it's like sometimes it's not like an epic, day or week with a friend. You just have like an afternoon with them, and you get into a fight, and then you're like back together again, and it's like one of those.
Yeah, yeah. There's a pretty decent supporting cast in this episode, which I didn't realize either. Like they just kind of they're doing their own thing, but they're doing it in front of all their friends. Like Flame Princess is in this episode also.
Yeah.
I guess this was during the point when Finn and Flame Princess were dating.
Yeah, I don't even know if I had met Flame Princess. My favorite part of Flame Princess was when they walk in. This is one of my favorite jokes that made me laugh hardest. And she introduces her brother who's home from the military and her very judgmental aunt and uncle.
Yeah.
And she says it in a way that she's not trying to hint at Finn, like behave. It was way more of a, no, this is the best way to explain who these people are. That was a great cartoon joke.
I like Flame Princess. She's a good character.
Oh, I loved how when she got it, like when she saw that Jake was in Finn's mouth and she was like all in, I was like, oh, she's cool. Did you have any favorite quotes?
Oh yeah. Jake is about to lower Finn into the lava, and Finn's just like, bring it on. And Jake what does he say? He okay, bro, but this will pretty much wreck up your whole life.
Yeah.
I feel like there's always been a Jake telling me that every step of the way, every career move. It didn't seem to matter.
That's awesome. Someone memed it where they were talking about the universe, like your bruises are just hickeys from the universe.
Yes.
Which again, I tried to extrapolate
so beautiful
meaning from, and on its face, it's cool. In the context of the episode, I don't know. I just thought it was funny. Also, like, what the Bjork we should talk about.
Yeah, a couple times.
I guess I'm just interested. It's just Bjork is a funny word, and I feel like her name jumped so much further into like the popular consciousness than her music ever did. Just like. Just her name and that she exists and that she's like kind of ethereal is all people know. Like growing up, I didn't even really know she was a I knew she was like vaguely a singer of some sorts on like VH1 or something. And then I listened to her music later and I was like, holy shit, this is incredible.
I couldn't tell you the name of one Bjork song. Gun to my head, I couldn't do it right now.
A lot of them have crazy names, but she's got some great albums, dude. I would recommend checking it. But it's interesting.
She did that Dirty Projectors thing.
Oh yeah, that was maybe my gateway in because I was so into Dirty Projectors, and then
that was probably the only time I actually sat down and listened analytically, critically, just for enjoyment for anything by Bjork, because it was with the Dirty Projectors.
Did you like it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, have you ever heard Medulla? That album? No, you just said you haven't. So
no.
It came out in like the mid 2000s, and she was still pretty popular at this point. And the album is completely a cappella, where it's just her and voices. Mike Patton is on it and does like some beatboxing and bass and like baritone singing, but it's all just with the human voice. And it came out on like a major label when she was pretty popular. Like it was the follow-up to Vespertine, which is one of her most like beloved albums, which is right after the one that has all is full of love on it. So it was still kind of in that prime zone, but it's cool. So, but for her to show up in Adventure Time is weird, but it's kind of cool because it just shows that like, okay, like Bjork and Adventure Time are in the same universe. And I really enjoy that. Like I enjoy that they would know who Bjork was in the Adventure Time universe because she is such a great whimsical character. Like when I saw her at Bonnaroo, she came out and her stage setup was her, a guy doing like samples and stuff, a full children's choir. That was what her stage setup was, and maybe a drummer too. And then she had on her head, this is Bonnaroo 2013, like a headdress that is just spikes everywhere. So it's just like spikes, like diamond spikes coming all out from her head. And she was singing in this like her crazy Icelandic accent. There were all these projections of bugs and pyro. And I don't know, her vibe works in Adventure Time.
Yeah. I know. You know, it's weird. Adventure Time is a show that I came to fairly recently, but I feel like my opportunity to appreciate Bjork would have been when I was like 18.
Yeah.
Like when I was listening to the Mars Volta all the time.
Yeah. Oh, this would be a great accompaniment. I found Vespertine early because I think that Circus Survive had said that Vespertine was like a cornerstone of like one of their guiding influences when they were writing Juturna.
Huh.
It's got that kind of like hazy, cloudy day sort of feeling to it. Well, maybe you'll get into it.
Maybe.
It's worth a
I,
listen to if you're going on a bike ride or something. Like throw that on. It's a trip.
All right. Well, you know what I listened to today?
What'd you listen to?
The new Kill Lincoln album.
How was
Great.
it? It's great.
It's great. It's so good. Instant classic.
I'm gonna throw it onto my albums to listen to list. I don't know how you organize new music to listen to, but I have like a playlist at all times. Like each month, I'll start like in Spotify, be like new music, August 2020, and in there, every album that I hear of, I'll just like throw in there, and then when I need something to listen to, I just go back into that playlist, and then once it's the next month, I'll just archive it. Do you have any system?
No, I'm totally disorganized. It's tough. I don't listen to as much new music as I should, just because it's like an active task for me, and I can't really listen to music while I'm working on music, which is what I do every other waking moment of my day.
Nice. We got a dog down there?
Yeah, there's a dog here.
Man, I love how you can tell that we're both just sort of fried right now.
Oh God, so fried.
So fried.
I listened to the new Taylor Swift album.
Yeah.
I listened to half of it, and then I got distracted.
What did you make of that one? I'm curious for your take.
I don't know, man. I feel like it's an album I'd have to spend a lot more time with in order to appreciate. Like, but I don't know if I want to invest that time. I didn't dislike it, but I also don't feel like a Taylor Swift album is worth like multiple listens to
appreciate.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to. I don't mean to.
You like
shade at Taylor Swift.
Well, but you're a Taylor Swift fan. Like,
yeah, I like Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
I like her pop music. Is this album? It didn't really grab me.
Yeah,
immediately.
Well, I appreciate this album. I think in its full context, both inside of her catalog and inside of like the pop star context. Because in her catalog, it's a a diversion from what she does, and she's always evolving and doing things. But this album almost feels like to me, and I guess time will tell, but it's not necessarily like, here's my new sound. It's sort of like, hey, I'm in this weird time. Aren't we all in this weird time? I'm going to put out this record, and it's really good. And a lot of pop stars, I feel like, have tried that, and have also tried not just that, but like the grown-up album, the quote-unquote real music album. It's like when Lady Gaga did Joanne. Did you listen to that record?
No.
So like on the big thing on the Taylor Swift record is she worked with Aaron Dessner from The National. Bon Iver sings on a song, and
yeah, I'm not huge fans of those guys though.
Yeah, well, I'm just for comparison because Lady Gaga, her record was with Mark Ronson, but like Father John Misty co-wrote a couple songs. Kevin Parker from Tame Impala produced a few songs, and that album, like, I wanted to like it. She just didn't pull it off. Katy Perry has been trying to grow and do a new thing, and I feel like just been missing. Like, dude, Swish Swish. What did you see that thing? Did you see? Yeah. So I gotta give points to Taylor Swift for like pulling off a natural evolution. Like that's a hard thing for a pop star to do and have it be generally accepted, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it was fine. I guess I wasn't really in the mood to listen to an entire 16 songs like that.
Yeah, that's fair. The Jack Antonoff songs in the middle get a little bit bigger, but none of it's as colorful as Lover. I mean, I guess as the cover art would suggest. Have you? Yeah. So you're not. The National is. I love that band, but that's not a band for Eric. It's not a band for you. I don't.
I'm sure I know their music, but I couldn't tell you anything about it again.
Yeah.
Not really in my sphere.
But Bon Iver, I think the later Bon Iver you would be able to get into, because it starts getting much more adventurous musically, whereas like the beginning of his career is really focused on like the lyric songs, especially the first record. But his last record, it's just fucking around with wild sounds and making cool collages and stuff. So I'd give I a shot.
Okay.
I'm not even going to push you on the National, though.
Yeah, I just been listening to a lot of ska punk.
Nothing wrong with that. I was just actually before this I put on Big D, Flynn and Stroll.
Their least ska punk album.
Or at least yeah, I was making some dinner and I put that on. And it's pretty good. I loved that record when it came out because I was like looking for some people to try to innovate ska. I think we've talked about this where like, you know, Streetlight, them, Arcs Bandits, I guess, had really departed at that point. Suburban Legends had fully departed. But I was like,
well, at that point, I think it was right around Mandala.
Yeah.
Fluent and Stroll and Mandala, I think were one right after the other.
Yeah. Yeah. So Arcs Bandits not even in the ska wheelhouse at that point anymore. But I was always like, I liked ska, but as I started to age, I was always like, all right, who's gonna try to like take it and do something with it? And I liked that Flute and Stroll, they really made that shot and they kept the sunny funness of it. But some of those songs are pretty are kind of goofy on it.
I love that album. I think it is definitely one of my favorite ska albums, ska with air quotes.
Yeah.
But I really liked what they did on the double album, Stomp and Stroll, on the Stroll side.
Yeah.
Because it was like that style after not doing that style for a couple albums. And it grew a little bit more into it. It was just a little bit more mature, I think. But I love that Stroll style. They invented it, of course, but there's no one else doing that sound, really.
Yeah. It's cool. It's like what's interesting about it is that like Dave McWane like keeps his like signature sort of style of delivery and persona intact as he moves into this like he's moved out of like any sort of Boston punkness and now he's in like some 50s 60s territory, but he's keeping it and it is kind of fun. And like listening to it with new ears, even like Not Fucking Around, like the third track, I think when that came out, I like groaned a little bit when I was like younger, but now listening to it, I was like, oh, that's like kind of a fun, like that's like an honest song that this guy probably early 30s, like I am now, like wrote, and it's like a fun story. I was like, this is like a cool evolution, like honest evolution of probably where that guy was at that point, and I appreciated it.
Yeah. Did you listen to the Cuidado album?
No.
Dude, Cuidado is so freaking good. It's like,
how do I spell this? I'm gonna pull it up.
The Spanish word Cuidado.
Got it.
It's like Big D meets Beastie Boys.
What's the story with this band?
It's Dave's like other project.
Oh, I don't even know about it.
Oh man. Okay, so that album came out like 2 years ago. And they don't play a lot of shows, but we played a show with them in Boston upstairs from a little Chinese restaurant last year. And it was like a Tuesday night and Cuidado opened and it was so freaking crazy. Like he's got like all these like vocal delay effects pedals that he uses. And a lot of it is just like dubby noise over like insane raucous punk, and then it's like Beastie Boys style like rap yelling kind of stuff. And
yeah. I want to hear that. I want to hear that. I loved, I didn't really know the Beastie Boys as much, I think, when Big D, but there's like a healthy Beastie Boys thing happening in Dave McWane's like DNA.
Yeah.
Have you listened to Check Your Head by the Beastie Boys? Have you ever listened to that record?
It's been a while since I listened to any Beastie Boys, but at one point I had their entire catalog on decent rotation.
Nice. Well, so the lore behind Check Your Head, you might remember it. So they put out License to Ill with Rick Rubin and everything is in the band. They're kind of playing these exaggerated characters, party music. Then they do Paul's Boutique, Chemical Brothers, and they're like, it's like the art thing, but it flops and no one cares. So apparently after that, they were like, okay, we just spent like $1 million making Paul's Boutique or whatever. They're like, why don't we just get like a shitty practice space in Los Angeles where they had moved at the time. Their buddy Money Mark was helping them, and I forget the engineer producer guy, but they just started going in like every day and having parties in this spot, hang out with skateboarders. This is like when they met Spike Jonze, I think. And then they just like went in every day and like they were actually playing the instruments and stuff. And they made Check Your Head, which came out, look at 92. That album has 20 tracks on it, which in 92, I don't know if people were really doing that. And there's all these like, there's like straight up dub tracks on it, and then like metal tracks, or like a funk metal thing where someone playing conga and B3, and it's like it's a pretty cool like exploratory record that I only found recently for some reason, but it's great.
I love the Beastie Boys. I love how much they love New York.
Speaking of like the Beastie Boys, though, another record that I think we should title this episode like what is it? Season 5, episode, what was it? 27 / music talk. There's this new album that I've been really into, is this guy named Micaiah McCraven. Now this, I think, would get back to your Beastie Boys loving, maybe Mars Volta loving, like jazz, funk, hip hop, psychedelic stuff. And I found him this year, and he did this really sick album with Gil Scott-Heron. So Gil Scott-Heron, the last record he put out was called, I think it's called I'm Still New Here, or that's what the Micaiah McCraven album's called. And he put it out, yeah, I'm Still New Here, is that what it's called? Yeah, or I'm New Here, there it is. And so then a couple years after, they got Jamie XX to remix the record, who's like a popular dance DJ and like it's pretty great. But then just this year they released a second, like, or the third version of this album, and it's by Micaiah McCraven, and it's called We're Still New Here. Or no, sorry, We're New Again is the album, and it's called We're New Again, a reimagining by Micaiah McCraven. And basically what he did is he took the original album and he chopped it up, and he brought in a lot of his friends who were like in the Chicago jazz scene and funk scene, and they did a lot of these improvisations, and then he wove the improvisations in with the original source material of the Gil Scott-Heron album, and makes this really great like fusion of jazz, hip hop, psychedelic rock. Like it's all fused in there, and it's really cool.
Cool. Send me a link.
I will.
Or something.
Micaiah McCraven, We're New Again. And he also just put out another record called Universal Beings, which he's put out. This is the second record. It's like in a series. And this is what he calls, I think he calls himself like a beat doctor is what he refers to himself as. And this record is he just got together with 4 different groups of people in different cities. And they would do all these improvisations, and he would take the improvisations and like cut them up, sample them, process them, and make them like wholly new songs. And it's a really interesting, cool album. That's been like my quarantine mainstay. So I have a lot to say on it. I'm throwing it in the chat.
Cool.
I wonder if anyone's still listening, I wonder what they want to hear.
If anyone's out there.
If anyone's out there. Should we do...
If anyone's out there, send us an email.
Yeah, what was the email address again?
Did you see the mail at gmail.com?
Yes. Why is it called Did You See the Mail again?
I don't know, Nick. Is it that time?
It is.
Let's play Did You See the Snail?
Did you see the snail? Did you see the snail? Did you see it?
Nick, did you see the snail?
No, I didn't see the snail. Did you see the snail?
No. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot else to say on this episode. Yeah, it was Finn was a jerk. It was kind of dark.
There any fun facts about this one? I don't know. Trivia.
Oh yeah. That was a good 15 seconds of silence right there.
I can cut it out. I know.
But don't cut out the part where we're talking about it.
Okay.
No, I mean,
I'm pretty good at editing audio.
You don't say. Dude, I'm
Learned
just
some tricks.
before I left, Sean and I was going to trying to build like my sample library to like, make music because it's fun. And we sampled his glockenspiel with like a whole bunch of different mallets. But now it means I got to cut up each hit of the glockenspiel to put into my Logic sampler. And it's just like, I'm feeling the pain of like, what if you're like a professional audio engineer and you have to do shit like that all the time?
Why would you do that? You can't just like find glockenspiel samples. Like I would think that's pretty easy.
You can
find.
But you can find them. But it was like seemed like a fun project. We also this extended after we sampled his marimba, and we did it with like some different like mallets. I don't know. Have our own sounds. It'll sound like him playing. Maybe I don't know.
I have a glockenspiel. I never use it.
I'm not seeing any like really good fun facts about this one.
Yeah, I guess not. I see some facts. None of them are particularly fun.
I know. You know what, Eric? I think this one was a down episode. I think the next episode we should do an up episode. Like, I'm going to come back ready to strike while the iron's hot. I did think that not over preparing was probably more fun. It led to a better discourse.
Yes.
So I'll keep the level of preparation the same. I'll up the energy level. I hope you join me.
Yeah. Cool. All right. It was a good episode.
Yeah. Let's figure out what the next episode's going to be. I think as we mentioned in the first episode, we have no real way of determining what the next episode will be.
I'm also not keeping track. We're only too deep, so I can remember what they are as of now, but we're going to have to think of a system soon.
Yeah. If there's any episodes that you want us to cover, please send us that email.
You could tweet at us, I guess. We're not going to make a Twitter for this, are we?
We should.
They can probably just tweet us at our regular Twitters.
Oh,
I
yeah.
never use my regular Twitter. I don't want to have to navigate a second one.
I'm at Nick P. Harvey. Maybe we'll make a Twitter. I don't know. All right.
I'm at Eric Daino.
Classic. All right. Should we call it?
All right. That's it. Peace out, y'all.
Have a good week. We'll see you soon.